It's true to say that if you want the best out of your ceramic coating, application is critical. But the reality is, the vast majority of reasons that cause people to get underperforming ceramic coatings happen prior to application, not during. So here are 3 tips that you can employ for superior durability with the same ceramic coatings. So 99% of ceramic coatings have a physical bond. There are only a minuscule amount that have a chemical bond. A physical bond means it is a thing that is holding onto a thing. And anything like you picking up something that's slippery, anything that can inhibit that thing gripping that thing will reduce the time that it can grip it for and the strength it has when it is. When you prep your car, you're going to machine polish it, and polishes contain oils or lubricants. That's what keeps the panel smooth and the polish fluid when you're machining. Those oils, those lubricants, inhibit the coating from being able to adhere to the surface. But it's not just the very surface that we're talking about. Paint has pores and micro fissures in which fill with those oils and those lubricants, and they are much harder to clear with a panel wipe than the very utmost surface lubricants. So it's much better to stop those polishes from filling up those fissures and pores than it is to try to remove it afterwards. And the best way I know to prevent those failure spots from occurring is to fill them prior to machine polishing. So the tip number 1 is to use a product called Prime from FaneLab. It is a clay lubricant. You're going to clay the paint surface anyway because you're going to machine it, because we're trying to create the best possible surface and the best looking surface for the coating to adhere to. So we're not taking any extra steps, we are already doing this step, we are already claying the vehicle. Rather than using water or some other form of lubrication, if we use FaneLab Prime, what that does is, as we clay the surface, Prime fills those fissures and pores with resins. Resins like what are in your ceramic coatings. Those fissures stay filled, the resins harden, and then when you machine polish the surface, it doesn't matter whether you're compounding with wool or microfiber or finishing with a foam pad, because those pores and fissures are filled, there is nowhere for those lubricants to lodge themselves, and so you have less failure points over a panel from the coating not adhering. So if you're machining the vehicle, obviously you're leaving polish residue on the panels and you have to remove that residue. The traditional way is to have cloths. You would finish a section, you would buff that off with the cloth, and you would see what you've got. You'd be able to inspect your panel. The problem with doing it the traditional way is those cloths slowly clog with the polish that you're removing. The more you use them, the less effective they become, and the more lubricants or polish residue you are leaving on the panels. If you choose to do it the traditional way, more cloths the merrier, but that requires a lot of equipment and a lot of washing afterwards to stay on top of the cloths. To combat that problem, better to use my method of having a rinseless wash on hand. I've done videos on this before and it's in every vlog that I do. If you have a bucket of rinseless wash with a plush cloth that soaks in that, you wring out the cloth, you remove the polish residue with the rinseless wash. It picks up more residue. It puts it in the bucket so it doesn't stay in the cloth, meaning that the cloth runs longer. We've now reduced the amount of filling that is possible, and we are now removing way more material than we were before. Again, we're not adding steps. We have to remove the polish. All we are doing is we have one extra bucket with a cloth that is soaking in it and another cloth that will dry the panel off afterwards. My way is to swap the bucket out after every stage. So if I'm doing 2 stages of machining, I will do the compounding stage, we'll change the bucket and the cloth, and then I will do the refining stage, and again, change the bucket and cloth after that. You can also use this for other things, not just removing the polish. You can use it to manage dust, especially if you're mobile. You perhaps don't need a compressor. You can just wring the cloth out if you've got polishing dust, or perhaps there's environmental dust dropping on the panels. You can use that to manage that. Again, it's much safer than a dry cloth, and I think safer than using a feather duster. Okay, so this is an important one, and it's one that doesn't really get discussed very often on Facebook or forums or anything like that. We have multiple wipe down products available to us in this industry. We have body shop grade, solvent based panel wipes, true panel wipes. You can use a manufacturer specific wipe down product, so eraser or panel pep, paint pep, any of those products, they are usually alcohol based with some surfactants in, or you can make your own with some IPA and water and maybe your own surfactants, or something like a small amount of Surfex HD. The reason that this is a really important stage is because your choice in wipe down product will play a big part in how quickly you can coat the vehicle afterwards. If you think about this logically, a body shop grade panel wipe, a degreaser, is going to do the best job of removing any residue that's on the panel and flashing off. Because it's solvent based, usually hydrocarbons, if you think back to using tar and glue removers, you'll be outside, you'll spray that on a clean panel, spray a bit on a cloth, wipe off the tar as it dissolves, and then you'll probably jet wash the panel down afterwards. Now all of a sudden, a panel that was quite flat with water behaviour is now beading quite well. And that's because that solvent, that hydrocarbon, is still on the surface, and it will flash off, it will evaporate over time. If you try and coat that vehicle having used a panel wipe which behaves the same, the outgassing panel wipe which you cannot remove, the solvents that are attached to the surface, they will inhibit the adhesion of your ceramic coating. So a body shop grade panel wipe, Spice Hecker, U-Pol, something like that, will do the best job, but you're going to need to give it a good few hours before you do the coating. Now if you're not in a controlled environment and you leave that car a few hours, it's probably going to accumulate dust and debris, and then you'll trap that when you're ceramic coating and possibly cause damage. So it's the best performer under a certain circumstance or setting. IPA based, alcohol based wipe down products are not quite as thorough at removing oils and residues, but you can get to coating a lot quicker after using them. So although they might not be as thorough, they still might be the better option for you. Now, if you're choosing between the two, I would say that the manufacturer-specific products like Eraser, they're much better lubricated than making your own with IPA and water, and maybe or maybe not some surfactants as well. So, in my opinion, or my recommendation, if you have the time and you have the facilities, use something like Spice Hacker or UPOL. If you don't, or you work mobile and you're unit based, maybe try and buy something like Eraser in bulk. The beauty now though is, if you followed the previous two steps, you've firstly stopped the filling capabilities of the polish, you've removed more of the polish, so now you're relying less on the wipe down. You also now understand that the wipe down can also inhibit the adhesion, so you're now not reliant on a product to do all of the work for you, because you give it a lot less work to do. So prevention is better than cure. Let's leave less for our panel wipe to do in the first place. And if you choose an appropriate wipe down product appropriately, I guarantee you will get better results from your ceramic coating, everything else being equal. So hopefully those few tips and knowledge nuggies will help you on your ceramic coating journey. I will have more enthusiast-specific videos coming with regards to ceramic coatings, fundamental issues that most of you have during application, things to look out for when applying, how to use less product, and other such things. Thanks for stopping by, thanks for staying with me. I'll see you on the next one.